Today is Saturday, March 10th, 2018. Hello, and welcome to Weekly Astrology Notes for the week of March 11th through the 18th, 2018. Highlights of the week. Well, it's a big Mars week, and that's why I'm going to be using Mars as the image for this week. Starting on Sunday, the 11th, Mars trine Uranus, along with Sun sextile Pluto. It's going to make it a motivational day, a good day to assert yourself. And then on Tuesday, really interesting day. We got a roller coaster ride with a stark contrast in aspects. We start early in the day with Venus square Saturn, leaves us defensive and having relationship issues. But Sun trine Jupiter, probably one of the best aspects in the book, brings a burst of creativity and optimism. And by the afternoon, we have a big appetite for life. But then on Tuesday evening, Mars square Chiron, what may turn out to be the most important aspect this week, could bring a big event in the news, a startling revelation, existential pain and conflict. So Tuesday's aspect has serious political implications. And then on Saturday, which is St. Patrick's Day, it's also a big day. We've got the new moon in Pisces, and Mars enters Capricorn, where it's exalted. Another reason to call this a Mars week. And then at the end of the video, Iran just made a bold economic move. So we'll take a look at their transits. And the speculation regarding impending arrests and fulfillment of Trump's promise to drain the swamp has reached a fever pitch in the alternative media. I don't know if you've been following the Q posts and all of this stuff about the executive order and potential arrests. So I'm going to be taking a look at the transits for the USA, Donald Trump, John Podesta, Hillary Clinton, and Huma Abedin. Okay, so let's get started with Sunday, March the 11th. Fantastic day. Mars trine Uranus gives you the desire to do something new and innovative. And Sun sextile Pluto gives you passion, strong burst of energy to accomplish whatever you want to. It also motivates your innate healing abilities, just like the Mercury and Venus sextile Pluto we had recently. So we start in the morning on Sunday with the Mars trine Uranus. The explorer in you desires a new path to go exploring. Today we're more ambitious, daring, feeling a burst of energy and looking for surprises. Like I said earlier, it's a really good day to assert yourself. As well, we're thinking abstract, also very sharp thinking, able to see the big picture and in tune with cosmic forces to bring a positive change in your life and take a step forward. It's just a really positive aspect, very ambitious, and the accompanying Sun sextile Pluto really means we can make the most of it. It's a day for new activities, to break out of your usual routine, do something different, express the unique side of yourself. Going to have lots of energy to make some changes. We're not interested in duty and obligation, easier to let go of inhibitions. Could bring up strange or quirky behavior because we're interested in the unusual. And we're basically more independent, wanting to break free. And also, we won't listen to discouragement. Could be a little bit disruptive, like all Mars-Uranus combinations. Only now the easygoing energy of the trine means you just do it, and you don't let anyone hold you back. And I'm going to be at the day, since this is not a day to be sitting around the house for sure, I'm going to be at the New Earth Expo in Sacramento on this day. I might make a new friend or two or three. You know, Sagittarius is abundance. And then the accompanying Sun sextile Pluto. Well, I should be calling these ones out here. The Mars trine Uranus is going to be 26 degrees of Sagittarius to 26 degrees of Aries. And the Sun sextile Pluto is going to be 20 degrees of Pisces to 20 degrees of Capricorn. So this is a very productive and useful aspect. It's good for getting a lot of work done because we have all that Pluto qualities, you know, the passion, the stamina, and the concentration. We also feel more magnetic and charismatic, more confident, more sexual, more capable, able to overcome insecurities and mental blocks and use our creative energy. And just like last week with the Venus and Mercury sextiles, this one gets our healing energies going. It enables us to make a change for the better, possibly be a positive force in someone else's life. We're more interested in esoteric subjects, and it brings up a lot of psychic energy, able to see the motivation in others. And as well, we look beyond the mundane world because, it's Pisces. So we look beyond the material world to look for answers to the deep questions in life. It's a good aspect for social causes as well. Pluto means we got to do things for not purely selfish reasons. And you may find that if you're working within a group, it's easier to make an adjustment because we all understand that it's the best overall strategy for the group. Okay, and then in the evening, we're going to be having the Moon conjunct Pluto on Sunday. So this is a powerful aspect. Could bring an intense mood to Sunday evening, a strong burst of energy. And then once a month, we get this aspect, and it helps us develop a new base emotional state as we overcome insecurities. But along the way, it brings up a lot of disruption and jealousy, sometimes a desire for revenge. So you really need to kind of harness that energy and focus. All right, and then late on Sunday evening, we have the nice moon sextile sun. Perfect aspect for the end of the week. Problems dissolve and we feel better about ourselves, an easygoing attitude. Moving along to Monday, March the 12th, we got moon in Capricorn. Has us restless this morning and without direction, with a void of course, until the late afternoon when the moon enters Aquarius. And then Tuesday morning aspects, Venus square Saturn, are going to affect us on Monday evening. So you might feel kind of defensive on Monday night, may prefer to be alone. So we'll start in the morning with the moon square Uranus. So Monday morning, restless and ambitious, aware of what isn't useful in your life and you want immediate change. Brings up a very utilitarian attitude, can be kind of impersonal. And then a void of course begins, continues until the late afternoon. So Monday during the day is really not a time to start new projects. Kind of feel like we're out without direction until the moon enters Aquarius on Monday afternoon. So we're more intellectual, abstract, and interested in the unusual for the next couple of days. Aquarius activates the higher mind. We seek independence. We need to express our unique qualities. It's more impersonal. Also more interested in public affairs. And then on Monday evening, you've got this Venus square Saturn that's going to be in effect. So it's going to make us a bit defensive, not very social aspect. Venus has fallen in Aries where it needs to learn diplomacy. And the square to Saturn means we're demanding, uncompromising with others. So Monday evening, you may need to stop yourself and muster up the tact necessary to smooth out any rough spots in your one-to-one interactions. So moving along to Tuesday, which is going to be quite a roller coaster ride because of this stark contrast of aspects. We've got this Venus square Saturn in the morning, leaves us defensive and having relationship issues, but then this Sun trine Jupiter, really great aspect, brings a burst of creativity and optimism, and we have a big appetite for life. But in the evening, this Mars square Chiron could produce quite a lot of painful revelation. I'm going to talk more about that as we get there. But as we continue on with Venus square Saturn on Tuesday morning, we're a bit worried and insecure about career, may desire to demonstrate your authority. It's not a good time for business. People are not in a spending mood. Hard to feel satisfied with your purchase. Bad time for business meetings as well, or any important negotiations. Too many insecurities arise and interfere with interactions. it is a good opportunity to correct yourself. And that's what the Saturn squares and oppositions help us do so well. It's find our little weak spots, the little dings in your armor. So you may feel like being alone on Monday evening, Tuesday morning. Common way for folks to deal with this energy. You know, you can't accomplish a lot. Like any Saturn aspect, you just want to stay in present time. Attend to duty and responsibility, and then the work and hard work and self-discipline pay off in the long run and make us feel better about ourselves in the present moment. And that nice little moon sextile Venus should help out on Tuesday morning to give us a little pleasant disposition. But even better, you know, just in the early afternoon, we got the Sun trine Jupiter. Oh, once again, I should have called those out. With the Venus at 8 degrees of Aries, we'll be squaring Jupiter at 8 degrees of Capricorn, and the Sun trine Jupiter. It's going to be 23 degrees of Pisces to 23 degrees of Scorpio. You know, wow, what a contrast with the previous aspect, huh? Pretty much the exact opposite effect in many ways, every way. Traditionally, one of the best aspects brings a optimistic, positive attitude, lots of creative energy, ability to imagine more, see farther, a big appetite for life, desire to travel and explore and to gamble, feeling lucky. Folks are a bit louder than usual, lots of physical energy, good time for a workout or a long run, or yoga, more positive change than usual. And of course the Scorpio to Pisces trine, that very soulful trine. It's all about healing and reclaiming lost elements of yourself. Divine grace comes into play. You may have an opportunity to heal a relationship or come to terms with what has been done in the past and decide to forgive and move on. Even resolve past life issues. It motivates your innate healing abilities, so it's a good time for healing or massage. And it's close to the Jupiter trine Neptune. It's ongoing this year. The next pass of that's going to be in May, and it brings a similar quality. So this aspect is sure to stimulate your spiritual side. So once again, we're not worried about material things. There's plenty for everyone. More interested in the mystical. And there's that idea, there's plenty for everyone, because that Jupiter gives that sense of abundance, and Pisces, you know, is the collective, so it's like everyone has enough. More interested in mystical, magical side of life, philosophical, religious, and idealistic. And exactly the opposite of the Venus square Saturn, this is a great time for business. So it should coincide with good financial news. Folks are generous, easygoing, and charitable, desire to spend money, and Pisces is humanitarian. The heart grows a little bigger today. Folks are very giving, like they want to donate to their favorite charity and help others. Really, one of the greatest aspects I've ever seen, the contrast, I should say. Thankfully, the Sun trine Jupiter, I think, is going to dominate the day because it happens around midday, and it's the longer of the two. And the tactless Venus square Saturn may learn to overcome its defensive attitude with this Sun trine Jupiter. And then moving along to some moon aspects, we got the moon sextile Mercury on Tuesday afternoon. So the moon is giving us another nice aspect to Aries. Very good. Mentally alert, quick reactions, good intuition, really speaking your mind, good time for communication, writing, and public speaking. And then in the evening on Tuesday, one that could be rather interesting, Mars square Chiron. And that'll be at 27 degrees of Sagittarius to 27 degrees of Pisces. That old Pisces, Sagittarius to Pisces square. Okay, talked about that one a lot on this channel. This aspect could produce a painful revelation, resulting in conflict. It could bring up a desire, because Mars is our desire nature, to cause pain, because that's what Chiron does. It's an existential kind of a thing. A desire to fight violently if necessary. against what is holding you back. Confront those who have caused pain to the collective with religious zeal. So it could bring off some really intense behavior. Perspectives and beliefs are shattered in the conflict. On the one hand, it's very personal, but it's also very transpersonal. Okay? So you may feel personally humiliated, demoralized, and like I was saying, this existential pain. But the remedy is to act on a collective level. So it's also got that transpersonal quality to it. Because we want to work on the collective level because that's the source of the pain, the source of the problem. Nonetheless, we will all have to cope with a personal crisis to overcome what we did not see in the past. And that's that old Sag to Pisces square. Our personal limitation, past and present, to doing this becomes an issue. So the result is feelings of guilt and shame. The remedy is to come to terms with what you did not see in the past and resolve to not be so ambivalent about the suffering of others. Okay, so that's a pretty intense aspect there. Let's move along now to Wednesday, the 14th. We got the moon in Aquarius. That's us feeling a bit independent today and not interested in duty and obligation. So we'll start in the early afternoon with the moon square Jupiter. Some doubts about your life, feeling rebellious towards the system, and poor financial judgment, followed by a moon sextile Uranus late on Wednesday evening. All that Aquarius energy, because we got moon in Aquarius and then it sextiles Uranus, it brings up strange behavior, where folks are weird or quirky, interested in the unusual, abstract ideas and concepts. Okay, moving along to Thursday, the 15th. We got the moon in Pisces, making it a lazy, dreamy day, not interested in the material world. The void, of course, begins just after midnight and then soon after enters Pisces. So we're more passive, sensitive, and impressionable for the next couple of days, interested in the spiritual side of life, feel the need for sanctuary so you can collect and center yourself. Good time for meditation and reflection. And then in the evening on Thursday, we've got the moon sextile Saturn. So Thursday evening, we are looking for something useful to do. Capricorn energy helps the Pisces moon stabilize. Okay, so let's move along to Friday, March the 6th. Moon in Pisces makes it a soulful Friday. We're more passive and spiritual. And then early in the morning on Friday, moon conjunct Neptune in Pisces. So Friday morning we feel a cosmic poke at your belly button. Because it brings up the very sensitive side of ourselves. You want to lay down your defenses and let the cosmic energy flow in. Feeling connected to everything. Although we do have kind of low energy, it's a great time for meditation. Oh, and I should have mentioned time to recall your dreams, because it's in the morning. The best aspect to do that. And then moving along to Friday in the early evening, we've got moon sextile Pluto. So Friday evening, desire to delve deep into any issue that arises. Emotional healing, reform your ways, make a change for the better. Looking to take advantage of the situation as well, I should have added. And then late in the evening, especially with this one, with the moon trine Jupiter, feeling rather lucky. Want to take a gamble on Friday evening. Good time for social gatherings, easygoing, soulful, idealistic, compassionate, facilitates a healing exchange, change for the better, because it's that old trine to Scorpio. And good time for reflection just before the new moon. I just added in that looking to take advantage of the situation for personal gain, because I'm noticing these positive aspects to Pluto produces that. It's just a really good night. Positive energy, not only these good moon aspects, but also the moon conjunct sun. The new moon energy will contribute to Friday night as well. And moving along to Saturday, the 17th, it's going to be St. Patrick's Day. The new moon in Pisces brings a crystallization of your life force energy this morning. And then we're going to have the moon in Aries at noon, and Mars enters Capricorn today. So it's really an excellent day to start new projects. Starting early in the morning with the moon conjunct Sun, it's going to be at, actually I've got the new moon chart here, 26 degrees, 53 minutes of Pisces. It's always the best moon aspect each month. Time for new beginnings, more creative, in harmony with the forces in our lives, more energetic and full of life, or more instinctual and ready to start a new cycle of growth. In Pisces, so we recollect ourselves with a spiritual, non-material awareness. Our life force energy crystallizes. A powerful psychic force emerges within us, ready for the spring season. The creative life force of the sun lifts the moon out of the ocean, helping us to rise above disappointment, heal the past, and show compassion. This vital life force brings new life to what was once seemingly dead. And we got some pretty good aspects happening at the new moon. Actually, we got a bit of a mix. We'll start with the good ones, which are the sextile to Pluto and the trine to Jupiter. They're very good because, Jupiter's in Scorpio, and that, of course, is ruled by Pluto. So a lot of that positive Pluto energy. So lots of resources at our disposal this month. Money is a strong motivator. We're looking to move forward, and we're willing to utilize all available resources at our disposal. A time to heal psychological wounds and regenerate. Motivates our healing abilities. And, of course, divine grace comes into play, as we must seek higher guidance to succeed. And that's important when utilizing that Pluto energy. It helps let go of any selfish or purely selfish desires. And optimism, hope, and faith, because after all, it's in Pisces, which says, I believe. So all of that Pluto energy gives us a lot of faith. You might notice here there's this conjunction to Chiron. So we're coming to terms with and overcoming existential pain in our lives this month, which basically means the pain of our own existence. Okay? It brings the Mars square Chiron aspect I talked about earlier into the mix. So the ego wants to make a bold statement, probably in the media, and it causes pain. And we've got this square to Mars, fairly close as well, at the time of the new moon. So that's going to bring a lot of activity. These squares from Sagittarius to Pisces. It can be headstrong, impatient, and inconsiderate of others. We'll need to pay attention to the details, because, Jupiter or Sagittarius is very broad brush, doesn't like the details, and Neptune does, or Pisces does not either. So you need to pay attention to the details this month, otherwise you could get deceived. And be cautious, and don't sacrifice yourself for others or escape into drugs or alcohol. I should have put a don't in front of that. That's what I meant there. Aggressive behavior disconnects you from the collective. You need to consider other levels beyond your material world, your own perspective, okay? Because Sagittarius says, I perceive, and Mars is very singular and kind of selfish. So it's like my perspective. And that gets heavily challenged with these squares to the new moon. So your perspective might get challenged, and it may seem like a sacrifice, but that's just a part of the ego that needs to let go. It's very important because, as Mars is about to move into Capricorn, we need to go through a little bit of an ego sacrifice. Capricorn requires that. requires us to let go of the superficial elements of ourselves, of our ego. And that's really what helps us achieve self-mastery. So this square to Mars, I see it as pretty significant as a learning lesson that we all need to overcome, probably on a collective level. And also, interestingly, we've got this semi-sextile to Uranus. We usually don't point out those semi-sextiles, but in this case it was very close. So I'm thinking something out of the ordinary this month, a sudden surprise. Also, a brilliant insight, an opportunity to move into better circumstances, but you got to be willing to make an adjustment. And of course, every month I remind everyone to locate the new moon in your chart, 26 degrees, 53 minutes of Pisces. You know, see what house that's in. So, and that's an important indicator of this month's growth for you. So locate that and focus more attention in the affairs of that house. And then we've got a void, of course, that begins and continues for the rest of the morning, and that starts at 6 in the morning and continues until, oh God, it'll be about noon. So we have a little void, of course, on Saturday morning. During that time, Mars enters Capricorn. Wonderful. It'll be there until May the 15th. So that's about 2 months, the usual. Excellent time to start new projects. They are destined to succeed and will last a long time. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, where the slow, methodical quality of Capricorn enables the energy of Mars to be released in a sustained burst. This enables you to accomplish a lot, and more than anything else, make your mark on the world, because after all, Mars is our identity, and Capricorn is self-preservation. So it's preserving your identity in the long run, or making your mark on the world, becoming a driving force in the world. It's a time of self-mastery. So for the next 2 months, we're working hard to get ahead in life. We're not concerned so much with present comfort, more interested in future gain, long-term preservation. We have a good head for business, good judgment, good moral values. We're more traditional, not disruptive or self-destructive, more concerned with career, reputation, and material things. What's interesting about this is that in a few days, at the start of spring, Sun's going to be in Aries. Well, that means both masculine planets, the Sun and Mars, are going to be in their exalted signs, because the Sun is exalted in Aries and Mars exalted in Capricorn. So that's aggressive, but is at the same time mature and respectable. Strong, destructive, a lot of yang energy. It's very masculine energy. Very much able to make a breakthrough this spring. Also brings lots of confidence, high energy, and vitality. It's a first for Mars and Saturn together in Capricorn in a long while. I'm thinking authority figures like Trump are set to make a powerful statement during this time, because, you know, authority figures want to make their mark on the world just like we do. And as I mentioned last week, the Mars conjunct Saturn, going to be happening on April the 2nd. It's going to be oppose Donald Trump's Mercury. And this is going to be a point, a moment when the energy of Mars and Saturn come to meet Trump's politics, all the things that he said, his promises to drain the swamp. And the new era of Saturn in Capricorn gets energized right at that same moment of Mars conjunct Saturn. So I'm really anticipating this. It's always a wonderful time, a wonderful aspect. And then to add to that wonderful Mars energy happening on Saturday, about noon, Moon enters Aries. So feeling like it's time for new beginnings, even though it's still a few more days until spring. So it's time to start new projects. We're more energetic for the next couple of days and also more headstrong. Okay, finishing up the week, moving into March, the 18th, Sunday. We've got the moon in Aries, making it a positive, energetic day with some good aspects in the afternoon. In the middle of the night, we've got the moon square Saturn, kind of makes it a slow Sunday morning. But in the early afternoon, we've got the moon conjunct Venus in Aries. Wonderful, feeling happy on Sunday afternoon, affectionate with a pleasant disposition. As well, the moon conjunct Mercury a little later in the afternoon on Sunday. Good instincts, mentally alert, inquisitive, and intelligent. Good time for social gatherings. No one's too shy to talk with the moon conjunct Mercury in Aries. Okay, that's it for this week's aspects. Moving on to important stories for the week. Starting with Iran. Important news from them recently. On the 1st, they announced that they're dumping the dollar and banning trade in U.S. dollars. You know, this kind of thing has instigated wars in the past. It's a threat to U.S. power. But they probably think they can get away with it now because the people who have the most to lose from this are the deep state here in America. And they're the same people who are trying to take down Donald Trump, and they're losing at that as well. So everyone has more courage to stand up to the deep state these days, and they're clearly losing ground all over the world. And right on the money, just like we would expect. Pluto sextile Uranus. You see that? 20 degrees of Capricorn to 20 degrees of Scorpio. Pluto to Scorpio again. Just like China and Russia, who are having similar transits, and they are all responding the exact same way. They're taking control of their own monetary system, and that translates to dumping the U.S. dollar. Clearly, we are seeing the effect of Pluto sextile a planet in Scorpio many times over. Okay, it's now 3 countries now. They all get the exact same thing, and they all do the exact same thing. And they're all displaying the classical qualities of Scorpio energy, you know, taking the reins of power. They're repairing the system and transforming it, and they're doing what's best in their own interest, while at the same time working to benefit others and being part of a collective effort. I mean, after all, Iran isn't just doing this by themselves. Other nations are doing the same thing. And of course, it's all about money, collective resources. So there's all of these classical Scorpio, Pluto qualities that are being revealed here. Also important to note here, notice how they were having Mars quincunx Neptune on the same day. They're at 20 degrees of Sagittarius. As well, getting Chiron conjunct Mercury. You see, and it was exact, 27 degrees, 16 minutes of Pisces. Chiron conjunct Mercury exactly on that day that they made that statement. So that's really interesting. Painful words. And I think you could see this as a form of political revenge, because after all, Mercury rules politics. So it's got this existential pain of Chiron coming into play with all of this. And I think it's really interesting to note the Mars conjunct Neptune at 20 degrees Sag there. Certainly that gave them more courage, more Mars energy, I believe. But even more interestingly is when you look at the chart of the USA on that day, March the 1st, 2018, what we see here is Mars at 20 degrees of Sagittarius, right where their Neptune is, opposing Mars natally at 20 degrees of Gemini. So that was a Mars opposition Mars transit for the USA. And of course, astrology predicts a direct threat under that kind of transit. And that's exactly what happened to the USA. Very much confirms what we would think would happen. And it was Iran. And I think it's curious that Iran's Neptune sits at 20 degrees of Sagittarius, exactly opposite the USA's Mars. This really explains why the USA is in a never-ending battle with them. That Neptune energy continuously drains the USA's Mars energy. And, we never get it back. We just lose it. So it's futile, really, for us to try and attack them. It would be a never-ending battle. It already has been all these years. So I thought that was kind of curious how that occurred right at the time when this synastry between Iran and the USA was activated. It's just so many synchronicities occurring with this event. I found it very interesting. And this week at the new moon, the USA, I'll move to the new moon here, USA at the new moon, 317. The USA prepares for Pluto quincunx Mars, exact on March the 19th, the one I've been warning about for weeks now. This is the transit that could erupt in violence or another big false flag or a major police action. After all, we've seen every other classical manifestation of Pluto lately. Wouldn't that be nice if we saw some politicians getting arrested? So we got 2 more passes of this one in May and January. So it may not occur here, but it could. And there'll probably be ongoing issues related to this aspect, or transit. As well, Neptune, quincunx Saturn. Neptune at 14 degrees of Pisces is quincunxing the USA Saturn at 14 degrees of Libra. So authority feels compelled by guilt for the collective suffering of the people. Well, it's about time, huh? But that's definitely what this transit brings. Something hidden comes to the surface, which threatens the structure of the nation. Because, Neptune dissolves and Saturn is structure and authority. So something could happen, some precise adjustment, some sudden event, which dissolves the structure of the nation, and it seems to threaten our very existence. Also inclined to take risks that could sacrifice all you've worked for. Because Saturn is all you've worked for and Neptune is sacrifice. So that's a pretty heavy-duty set of transit to be happening now. And there's other quincunxes from Neptune I'm going to be talking about as well. But anyway, this one's got 2 more passes, September and January, so it's ongoing this year. There are 2 powerful transits concurrent with the ongoing battle for the soul of this nation. And I must admit, I am getting a bit anxious about all these alternative news reports, the speculation about impending revelations, and maybe even arrests of major political players. It's reached a fever pitch. So let's take a look at a few choice charts. Of course, starting with Donald Trump, because it's all resolving around him. I'm going to continue to talk about him. Uranus and Mars are forming a grand trine on his natal Mars these days. At the start of the week, he gets the Mars trine Mars at 26 degrees of Leo. And then the Uranus trine Mars on the 18th. And that's going to be the last pass. It's been a really great transit for him. And so it culminates now. It's given him a lot of ambition and made him very assertive. It gives him intelligence and adaptability to outmaneuver his opponents. And it's what he's been doing a lot of. Gives him a lot of youthfulness and makes him uncompromising. And that's the big thing with this Uranus trine Mars, which we're all getting ourselves these days on Sunday the 11th, and he's getting it by transit as well. It makes you very able to stand up for yourself and not listen to the naysayers. Won't listen to those who say you just can't do it. So it's a week of surprises from Trump. And on the new moon, on the 17th, it makes a close quincunx to his natal Mars. You'll see that at 26 Pisces. Makes a close quincunx to that Mars at 26 Leo. So I'm seeing this as a compulsion to act. And if he doesn't, then he feels guilty. Because that's what happens with those quincunxes. You feel guilty. And that's usually why you act so strangely and compulsively to begin with. Because you feel this overwhelming guilt. Usually with the quincunx, there's karmic implications as well. We seem to be drawn into other people's karma. So Trump's promise to drain the swamp, it is his politics. It's what comes out of his Mercury. And so that's why I see this major political showdown coming now this month with Saturn opposing his Mercury. You know, he's made a lot of promises. He said some powerful things. And that's all Mercury. And now, at the Saturn opposition, he's going to have to account for what he said. The weaknesses and deficiencies are revealed. But if he's proven right, then it's a huge gain for him, a boost to his reputation. His Make America Great Again started at a Neptune trine Mercury transit long ago, just to give you an idea of what this Mercury has done recently. It's made a lot of big promises. Make America great again, okay? So now Saturn is coming in to make that a reality. It's a moment of culmination for his political promises. So I'm very intrigued by all of these reports. Taking a look at, now moving along to John Podesta. You know, he's someone to watch this week. Again, it's with Mars. Big week for Mars. Mars opposes his Uranus at 27 degrees of Gemini. So what's that? We know the Mars opposition is a direct threat, just like the Mars opposition Mars was for the USA recently. As well, on the 9th, you got Chiron square Uranus. Okay, Chiron coming into the mix at 27 degrees Pisces, squaring that Uranus. So he's definitely having some serious, I would say, existential problems. And that's what Chiron brings, that kind of thing. And moving along to Hillary Clinton. Video might get a little bit longer this week as I go into some detail about Hillary and Huma Abedin. So looking at Hillary's charts, transits for the 10th of March, you'll see that she's getting the same transit as Podesta, Mars opposition Uranus. So like him, she feels kind of threatened this weekend. Also, she's got some activity going on with related to these three planets she's got here in the 9th house, which is Mars, Pluto, and Saturn. Conjunction, you know, it's that strong conjunction that really characterizes and defines her harsh character. Pluto is about to quincunx that Saturn, but more importantly, even sooner, Neptune is going to quincunx Mars and Pluto this month. And those two transits from Neptune could be malefic. You know, it could be something rather bad. Dark, hidden things are revealed, and she's fighting a serious battle for her life. And that's because both quality of the transits and the nature of her character. So, again, it looks like a lot of stress going on with this stuff in the 9th house. And most importantly, of course, is Jupiter, you'll see here. It's right on her ascendant, just crossed over recently, conjuncting all these planets in Scorpio, which would think, you know, would be typically a good thing. But for her, the expansion energy from Jupiter seems to be magnifying her problems, as it's also squaring all her planets in the 9th house. And of course, Jupiter rules the 9th house, and that could bring negative consequences. Jupiter squaring planets in its own house, judicial actions is what I'm thinking might be the problem for her. The interesting point is that all of these Jupiter transits could manifest differently than in previous passes because she no longer controls the broadcast media. So this transiting Jupiter, you could say, is not in agreement with her any longer. So now that these squares come along, I think it could be a situation where they go after her. And I think that's rather important, because when we're looking at Jupiter from a collective level, it's about collective wisdom, and of course it's about the broadcast media and whoever is really in charge of that. And that's changed. So you can sense different things coming out of the media now, and this is an opportunity for them to do that. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and I was looking at her progressions, and I found something kind of interesting. If you're not familiar with progressions, it's where you look at a year equals a day. So anyway, she's getting progressed Chiron squaring her Saturn. You'll see that. And when you're looking at progressions, you have to be absolutely exact, degree and minute. So this is coming up just next month, 21 degrees, 17 or 18 minutes of Leo. And that Chiron square Saturn, coming from the 12th house, is yet more stress on those planets in the ninth. Kind of interesting. And it could bring the unearthing of painful secrets related to her career. So I guess what I'm getting at here is, while looking for the transits that could support the idea that she's getting in a lot of trouble, she's going to get into a lot of trouble soon, or have a lot of legal problems soon, clearly these transits support that, both in her transits and her progressions that I'm showing here. And moving along to Huma Abedin, because we got to, it all comes down to what was on her laptop, or her and Anthony Weiner's laptop. And Mars is quincunxing her Jupiter, and that produces a hostile confrontation. But kind of interesting, on the 11th, this Sunday coming up, Mercury opposition Pluto. Now, we've mentioned Mercury opposition transits many times in the past, and how it often seems to coincide with getting that person in the news. And of course, she is infamous for the secrets that she holds, when that's Pluto, and this Mercury opposition is the perfect transit for something dark about her to be revealed. We're not exactly sure about her birth time, it's kind of general, but it'd be all the more powerful if her ascendant really was involved in here, like shown. And, just shy before the retrograde, she's also getting Saturn about to square her Pluto. Okay, Saturn coming up to 9 degrees of Capricorn is going to square her Pluto at 9 degrees of Libra. So my sense about all of this is that something significant is about to happen with regards to these people, and with regards to Trump's promise to drain the swamp. I've been talking about that for the last couple of weeks, and how there's this big culmination coming up, and I just keep looking, in a way, this is sort of a prayer that it is all going to happen. It's not the last pass for these transits, for most of these players, but a significant moment arrives when the issue is clearly defined. Likely legal battles begin or ensue after this point. So I think that that's a recent. So I think that this recent uptick in speculation in the alternative media is right on the money, and I think we're about to see something big go down. And I pray that it really does, because it's about time. Okay, and in summary, the contest that I held last month, it was a success. And so much so that I decided to repeat the contest again in March, and probably every month after that. It seems like a good way to keep folks interested. So please donate. Everyone who donates $5 in any given month is automatically entered into the contest for that month to win a free natal reading. And those who have given more than $5 get entered into the contest for following months. You'll find donation buttons for Patreon and PayPal in the lower right-hand corner of the flower image on my channel homepage. This week I had a great time doing the reading for Henry, who was last month's winner. It lasts over 4 hours. And in case you haven't followed that yet, I got myself a Twitter feed, TomJordan364. Please follow me for regular astrology forecasts and announcements related to this channel. And please contact me if you're interested in a natal or transit reading. I'm also available for consultations on a regular monthly basis, using astrology as a tool for life coaching. And if you're in the Sacramento area and would like to meet me, I'll be at the New Earth Expo in Sacramento this Sunday, the 11th, and I'll leave a link for that in the description as well. In addition, I'm doing long-distance Reiki healings. If you're interested in what Reiki can do for you, want to explore the healing energy, and would like to get a long-distance healing, please contact me for either astrology or Reiki at mobilestar7@yahoo.com or my weblog at tomsocalm.com, which is where I post the transcript of these weekly videos. Well, that's all this week for Weekly Astrology Notes. Thanks for viewing, liking, and sharing my video. And please subscribe if you haven't already. Many blessings, and have a great day.